Welcome to Under Pressure. When organizations face an emergency or high-stakes situation, one of the most common frustrations, both internally and externally, is how long it takes to get information approved and out the door. Communicators feel stuck, leaders feel exposed. The public feels like information is being withheld. And everyone is asking, why is this taking so long? What many people don't realize is that inside government or Indigenous governing bodies and larger organizations that use incident management systems, whether that's ICS, the Incident Command System, or IMS, the Incident Management System, or similar structures, approval processes and reporting lines change, and they're supposed to change. In day-to-day operations, communications staff report up through their usual department leadership or day-to-day boss. Messages might move through multiple layers and people, and that's normal, day-to-day. But during an incident, particularly when an emergency management structure is activated, decision-making authority shifts. And this means information approvals move through an incident commander or an emergency operations center director, not through your usual boss or organizational chain. For people who are not familiar, trained, or practiced with emergency management systems, this can feel very uncomfortable. Leaders may feel like they're losing visibility or control. Communicators may feel uncertain about who has final authority. Operational teams on the front lines of an incident may assume that communication understands the incident management structure when they may not. And this is where delays begin. The approval trap often happens when organizations are trying to operate under two systems at the same time: your normal day-to-day reporting lines and processes, and the incident command structure, without clarity on who has actual decision-making authority. People wait for approvals that aren't required. Messages circulate through multiple layers. Risk aversion actually increases because accountability feels very unclear. And time passes. Speed matters during emergencies, not because information needs to be perfect, but because uncertainty creates an information vacuum. When organizations don't communicate quickly enough, the information gap fills with speculation, assumptions, or misinformation and disinformation. Silence is rarely neutral. Another factor that slows approvals is fear. Leaders worry about being wrong. They worry about legal exposure, and they worry about reputational risk. And those are all legitimate concerns. But waiting for perfect information often creates greater risk than communicating early with what is known and being transparent about what is not yet known. One of the strengths of the incident management system, or systems, there are many of them, is that they're designed to clarify authority during complex situations. They establish who is responsible for operational decisions, who approves public information, and they actually create a structure that is intended to move faster, not slower. But that only works if people understand, are trained in, and practice the system and trust it. When organizations do this well, communication approvals actually become much more efficient during incidents. But when they don't, communications becomes a bottleneck and sometimes the focus of criticism. For communicators and leaders, there are a few practical tips here. First, clarity about roles and approval authority needs to exist before an incident happens, and that means doubling down on training and practicing. Second, organizations need to recognize that emergency structures are different from normal operations, and that difference is intentional. And third, speed and accuracy are not opposites. Communicating early with verified information, even if incomplete, is usually safer than waiting too long. Because in high pressure situations, the greatest risk is often not what you say, it's how long it takes you to say it. This is Under Pressure, and I'm Wynna